Welcome. Good morning. It's wonderful to see everyone here. My name is Mikell O'Mealy, and I'm with a USAID-funded activity called Climate Economic Analysis for Development, Investment, and Resilience, or CEADIR, which organized today's event in collaboration with another USAID-funded activity called Environmental Communication Learning and Outreach. And on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for joining us at this exciting event today to discuss opportunities for U.S. firms supplying renewable energy and smart grid technologies, equipment, and services in developing country emerging markets. As all of you know, developing countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America are transforming their energy industries at an unprecedented pace, with investments by utilities and governments driving consistent growth in U.S. exports. Renewable energy investments in developing country markets exceeded those in developed countries for the first time in 2015. And similarly, while most smart grid investments to date have occurred in developed countries, developing countries are now positioned to quickly catch up. With GDP growth rates consistently continuing to be among the highest in the world, developing countries will have the funds available to scale up renewable energy and undertake significant grid modernizations in the coming years. And we have an impressive lineup of speakers, networking sessions, and discussion groups for you today that will do three things: highlight opportunities for selling U.S. equipment, technologies, and services in key emerging markets, discuss competitiveness challenges and emerging export strategies, and facilitate networking with colleagues and partners that are working in those markets. And I'll cover a few logistics later in this opening, but for now, it is my true pleasure to introduce Matt Ogonowski from USAID to provide some welcoming remarks. Matt joined USAID in 2012 and serves as Clean Energy Lead for the USAID-funded CEADIR activity. Matt also manages USAID's engagement with the Private Financing Advisory Network, which is an international public-private partnership that supports innovative renewable energy projects by bridging the gap between investors and developers. Matt has 15 years of experience in project management, policy design, and economic analysis with a focus on electric power, industrial, and commercial sectors, as well as significant experience working in developing country markets across Asia. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for your leadership on these issues. We welcome you to the stage.
Thank you, Mikell. Good morning, and welcome to the Renewable Energy and Smart Grid Suppliers Forum, sponsored by USAID. I'm Matthew Ogonowski, and I work on clean energy and climate at the USAID Washington office. On behalf of USAID, I want to thank you all for your participation. USAID is grateful to the speakers, panelists, and moderators who have volunteered their time and their travel costs to share their insights with us today. I also thank our implementing partners, CEADIR, and the Environmental Communication Learning and Outreach Project, ECO, and Eric Hyman, who manages the CEADIR project at USAID. So today I'd like to say a few words about USAID's mission and our work in clean energy. Then I will discuss our objectives for the workshop and our expectations for the future. On behalf of the American people, we at USAID promote and demonstrate democratic values abroad and advance a free, peaceful, and prosperous world. In support of America's foreign policy, USAID leads the U.S. government's international development and disaster assistance through partnerships and investments that save lives, reduce poverty, strengthen democratic governance, and help people emerge from humanitarian crises and progress beyond assistance. Our objective is to support partners to become self-reliant and capable of leading their own development journeys. We promote American prosperity through investments that expand markets for U.S. exports, create a level playing field for U.S. businesses, and support more stable, resilient, and democratic societies. In our clean energy assistance, our guiding principles are universal access to affordable and reliable energy, and open competitive markets that promote efficiency and energy security, not only for the United States, but around the globe. To achieve this, USAID helps countries create policy environments that attract sustained private investment in clean energy. USAID and other U.S. government agencies are working bilaterally with developing countries to advance power sector transformation in smart grid technologies, energy efficiency, and renewable energy resources, such as wind, solar, geothermal, and others. We remain collectively committed to mitigating greenhouse gas emissions through, among other ways, increased innovation on sustainable and clean energy and working towards low greenhouse gas emissions energy systems. USAID follows an integrated approach to renewable energy development to help partner countries and companies reduce the cost of renewable energy, improve grid operations, and leverage financing for utility-scale projects. This building blocks approach, as we call it, consists of the following elements: competitive procurements, renewable energy zones, strategic energy planning, smart incentives, grid integration, and financing strategies. For example, USAID has provided support reverse auctions through our bilateral energy programs and a variety of USAID Washington mechanisms. Auctions recently conducted in Mexico, El Salvador, Zambia, and Afghanistan have all benefited from some type of USAID support. The Greening the Grid initiative, which is a partnership between USAID and NREL, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, assists countries with managing the particular challenges presented by increasing the levels of variable renewable energy on the grid. Greening the Grid offers a toolkit of guidance materials to support developing countries in defining and implementing grid integration roadmaps, and facilitates direct technical assistance tailored to the unique characteristics and priorities in each partner country. Other USAID-funded activities, such as CEADIR, support clean energy financing and development and implementation of effective enabling policies and incentives. This integrated approach helps put countries onto a path toward modern, cleaner electricity systems. Active and ongoing engagement with the private sector is fundamental to USAID's approach to development and to clean energy. USAID partners with the private sector in the United States and developing countries to develop capacity and to leverage private and public financing. We promote reforms in electric power and other markets and increase opportunities for American businesses. Empowering the private sector in developing countries is also a key step in helping them transition to more open economies and move from foreign assistance towards self-sufficiency. For example, this afternoon, my USAID colleagues seated at this table will provide an overview of Power Africa, a multi-agency initiative that is one of our most successful partnerships with the private sector. Power Africa employs a transaction-centered approach to directly address the constraints to project development and investment in sub-Saharan Africa's energy sector. The model brings together public and private sector partners, companies, international and development financial institutions, banks, governments, and communities that are committed to investing in Africa's future and developing power solutions to meet Africa's vast energy needs. To date, Power Africa has helped 90 projects reach financial close, representing nearly 7,500 megawatts of new generation capacity and a combined value of more than $14.5 billion. Power Africa has mobilized more than $54 billion in commitments from development partners like the African Development Bank, the World Bank, France, the UK, and Israel, as well as private sector partners, such as project developers, financiers, and equipment suppliers to achieve its goals. This is an important achievement made possible through the active involvement of both governments and the private sector. Our event today will further USAID's objective of helping create opportunities for U.S. companies and workers. This will in turn help developing countries to deploy the latest technologies and methods to modernize their electric power systems and effectively utilize renewable energy sources. We are confident that you will find it useful as well as you make decisions on entering or scaling up your activities in developing country markets. Today's speakers and panelists will offer you their insights on the needs of utilities and grid managers in developing countries, on working with partner organizations, on financing and investment sources and strategies. In the afternoon, there will be concurrent sessions organized by technology and by region to address specific markets that may be of interest as you consider how and where to focus your future efforts. We hope also that this event will expand your networking and partnerships with other U.S. clean energy suppliers. So with that, I will close by thanking you all again for the contribution you are making to USAID's development mission. We wish you a productive workshop today and look forward to future collaboration. Thanks.